Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 26 of Rise Up the Podcast. I'm here with your favorite hosts, Scotty Rogers and Greg Grenlian. We have an action-packed episode in store for you guys today. We have an unbelievable interview, with Garrett Epple. He was a blast to talk to. He doesn't hold back his opinions, and man, we could talk to that guy for hours. We have some recaps of the games that happened last week and some picks for this week coming up. The NCAA tournament's really starting to shake out, and we're really gonna kind of have to start to get a picture of, who's in, who's out, who might be left on that bubble. But fellas, before we get into all that, Scotty, how you been? We missed you last week, man. How we doing?
Good. I'm good, boys. I'm pumped to be here.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, baby.
Calvert Hall, how we doing over there?
We won. We beat Gilman today, 11-7.
That's a big win.
Yeah, man. We got boys Latin on Friday, so that's a big one.
That's a good test.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Parker Hoffman, face-off man for Boys Latin. Here he comes.
There we go.
Okay,
Greg, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Just living the dream, fighting the good fight. We got our FOA Western Showcase in about 4 weeks, heading out to Vegas. So just making sure that I'm.
Wait, I gotta. On a side note, I gotta fly out to the state of Washington, which I've never been to, on Friday.
Beautiful state.
6-hour flight, 2-hour clinic, 6-hour flight back.
That's how we used to do, man. That's how we used to do, dog.
Same day flight, in and out?
Same day, man. Go in and out.
Man.
Rhino hit me up when he used to have his team out in Portland. Ryan Powell got on a flight.
Yeah.
2-hour clinic. Got right back on a flight. Came back home.
Hope you got a good credit card, Scotty. Get your miles up.
You'll
get
get
your
them
points
Delta
up.
miles, dude.
PLL actually booked it, and I'm on fucking United. I think in a middle seat. We'll see.
Well, I feel bad for those two people adjacent to you. I just came back. I had a wedding last weekend down in South Carolina. I've never been to South Carolina. Down in Hilton Head, beautiful. Played two. Excuse me.
Do you wear the tux?
No, it wasn't a tux wedding. It was like on the beach.
We're in the fucking tux.
Dude.
I wore. Imagine if I was the only one that wore the tux. I should have. I paid for it. I got to get my money's worth. But no, I wore a blazer, tie, khakis. But it still looked good. You know how I roll. I got a haircut for it.
Right up your alley.
And this week, actually, I'm buzzing all over the place. This weekend, I got to go to a bachelor party in the Poconos.
You got to? Poor guy.
Yeah, got to go to a bachelor party in Poconos. I get to, excuse me. But more golf. I think there's a casino out there. Should be lots of fun. But, man, it's good to see you guys this week. And, before we get into our recap and before we get into our picks for this games coming up, I want to shout out our sponsors, Roback. Make sure you use code RISEUP20 for 20% off your order. I see people all around, my friends, my family, wearing Roback. I ask them, did you use promo code RISEUP20? When they say no, I get really upset. Make sure you use promo code RISEUP20 for 20% off your Roback orders. And as always, we're going to shout out Face Off Academy and 42 Performance. Scotty just mentioned he's heading out to Washington, train up some goalies. That's how much he cares. Flying out 6 hours, training for 2 hours, flying back another 6 hours just to get these kids better. And Greg, you know what he's doing, posting on Instagram, showing these kids all the techniques, standing up, one knee down, clamp, rake, pitch and pop, plunger, all the good stuff. He's got all the tools in the toolbox. But man, these guys do it better than anyone else. So make sure you give them a follow on Instagram, check out what they're doing. And before we get into our NCAA recaps, I'm going to turn it over to Greg, who's got some shout-outs in the realm of pro lacrosse that he'd like to touch upon.
I would like to do some shout-outs. First, I want to shout out John Radigan, who has officially retired from professional lacrosse. I want to talk about probably one of the most universally liked people in lacrosse. Scotty and I know what it's like to be non-universally liked. John Radigan is one of those guys where if you're like, yeah, I don't like that dude, then you know there's something wrong with you. Phenomenal talent, awesome athlete, always played hard, was a key member of those big-time Rattlers teams. Loved watching him play throughout his whole career. So congratulations, John, on an amazing career, dude. And then I also want to give a shout-out to my man, Captain America, Tommy Schreiber. Schreiber just set the single-season points record for the Toronto Rock.
What a fucking
And
nerd.
he'll never talk about it himself because he's the most quietest, pleasant robot of all time, but he is an absolute beauty, and he won me a gold medal, so I love him to death. So congratulations to Tommy Schreiber.
Congrats, Tommy.
And before, Ranigan's career is not done yet. He's got one game against Halifax this weekend for the Georgia Swarm. If they win, they make the playoffs. The Georgia Swarm are on pace to have possibly the greatest comeback season in NLL history. I met Rannigan for the first time on a party bus coming back from Nassau Coliseum a couple weeks ago. My buddy plays for the Swarm, lives in my neighborhood. So I jumped on the party bus with them, had a couple pops. It was a great time hanging with those guys. And I wish him the best. Congratulations on a great career.
All right, let's talk about some weird lacrosse shit. Let's talk about some college lacrosse shit.
Absolutely. We got Scotty back on here. We missed him last week, like I mentioned. Let's start with him in Notre Dame. You catch the game last weekend, or Notre Dame's still rolling. What are we thinking on the season? How are we feeling?
I mean, dude, the confidence that they're playing with, like I said,
they steamrolled UNC. Steamrolled them.
Dude, they're playing with very high confidence. And I'm saying, like, the offense is clicking. The goaltending has been unbelievable. And obviously, I think if the key in the playoffs is if Entenmann stays hot. I think he will, man. He's mature. He's been there before. It's going to be an experience game now, and he has all that experience. So, I honestly think they could do it.
Scotty, did you see the video that came out of him getting tagged in warmups? And
no.
Dude, so I saw it on Instagram, and before the UNC game, they're doing 4-on-3 drill, and some lefty attackman comes up the hash and takes a jump shot and drills him right on the side where the pad misses it, caught a rib or maybe an internal organ, and he's you could see the look on his face. He was like, "This isn't good." Fuck, and shakes it off, gets in there, single goals against in the game, just an absolute nail gun, and you love to see that.
Tough Irish kid, yeah.
Yo, he's going to be a bad dude in the PLL, man.
Yeah, dude, his game is
I'm excited to watch it in the PLL.
Yeah,
he's phenomenal.
He's going to be good.
Some of the two biggest games that we highlighted last week was Hopkins, Maryland, and Army Navy. Going to Hopkins, Maryland, this game didn't disappoint. We had Crawley on a couple weeks ago. We talked about how special this team is turning out to be, and proving a lot of people wrong at the beginning of the season. They just took down Maryland 12-11, Battle of the Crab. They bring it home this year. Greg, you catch this game. What'd you think about this?
Yeah, Hopkins had a really good game plan. I think both teams knew how to play this game. Maryland officials are both, doing their thing. Shout out to Hopkins. They actually went over 50% against Maryland on the faceoffs, which doesn't happen very often. And they're peaking at the right time. They believe in themselves right now. And Hopkins is always going to recruit elite level talent. But now when they're starting to believe in themselves, they trust the process, they trust Millie, they trust the coaching staff. They can be very, very dangerous now. So, yep. And I was pumped because by them winning that game, Penn State's outright champs in the Big Ten for the regular season. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's big. No, that's big for sure. Let's stay in the Big Ten. How'd your Nittany Lions do last weekend?
They had a tough one, down to the wire matchup where they won 14-5 against little brother. So they did their thing, and I think that's an impressive win because it's real easy when you are just like, oh, we're playing the last ranked team technically in the Big Ten right now, and they come out and they show up and they play hard throughout the entire thing and get it done. So this is, like I was saying before a few weeks ago on our show, the reason this team is impressive to me is this Penn State team doesn't lose to teams they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
They had the one hiccup with Marquette, but other than that, they are beating really good teams, and then they're showing up against teams that aren't that good. Can I also ask you guys a question?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Is Rutgers still ranked?
Let me pull it up because they shouldn't be, and we've talked about this. Yeah, they are. They got ranked 14th this week.
They're fourth. Dude. Now look,
matter?
for Penn State's resume, phenomenal.
I'll have to pull up the
is
RPI.
High as a kite.
I mean, we talk about it week
Ranking
after
them
week
at
how this Rutgers team, is just they don't really have any significant wins.
They're living on last year's success right now.
Totally.
And hey, I'm guilty of it. I'm still sitting here going, look, they could beat anybody. Watch, we're going to have this show. They're going to win the first two games of the Big Ten tournament. We're just watch what happens. Yeah.
But no, absolutely. I was going to touch upon that too. I mean,
what's the resume?
Their RPI is 13. They're 8-5. I think they beat who they beat. They beat Army early in the season, and they lost to Army. They have a win versus Princeton and a win versus UMass, a win versus Michigan, and that's it. Then a whole heck of a lot of wins versus, I guess they beat Loyola when Loyola was considered good. Now Loyola is, I think, sub 500. They beat a Utah team who's surging now. That helps them out, I guess. They piss pumped St. John's, who I believe is still winless, and they beat Marist 20-8. So, like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I really, we talk about this, the rankings, and, we'll get into the bracketology, but this RPI formula, I know there's a lot of people against it, and, the math comes out the way the math comes out. And, Rutgers is sitting at 8-5, ranked 14th, and they are the 13th RPI. I don't know. I can't, but I mean, they're in a position where if they keep winning, I mean, do they even make the Big Ten tournament, or are they out?
No, they made it. There's only 6 teams in that tournament.
Oh, all 6 make it. They don't take the top 4.
Yeah.
I guess they're in a position where they can win.
Bye.
Got it.
So yeah, it's
I mean, there's some funky teams in the rankings. Like Penn is 6-5.
Absolutely smoked. But I don't know, man.
Like Penn is 6-5, and they're ranked 12th in the country.
I don't know. You know what? Who gives a shit? Whatever. Yeah, Notre Dame's number 1. Penn State. If Penn State wins the Big Ten tournament, they'll be number 4 in the country. If they don't win the Big Ten tournament, they will be anywhere from 6 to 10.
Greg, what do you think about this? Hopkins jumped Penn State this week in the polls. Penn State stayed at 5. Hopkins jumped from 7 to 4.
I love that. I love Hopkins being ranked higher than Penn State, because on paper it makes sense, because Penn State had the best record in the Big Ten, and then they beat Hopkins, right? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No. I actually, alumni love that, because we don't, like, just give us a little disrespect. Don't pump our tires too much. That's dangerous territory.
I think to bring this whole rankings thing to a close, I think
it mean nothing.
What's up, Scotty?
The rankings mean nothing.
Yeah, you're right. They don't mean much right now.
Getting picked for the tournament, though, so that's.
But yeah, the RPI does. But I think to bring the rankings to all, I think it speaks to the parity in lacrosse and how many good players are coming out of high school to some of these non-traditional schools. Utah's ranked 19th; they're 9-4. Delaware, they're 10-3, ranked 13th. So
Delaware is really good. They're really, really good.
They always get athletes, yeah.
How did Villanova do this weekend?
Massive 16-15 overtime win against Marquette.
Dude.
Nice.
Massive.
Yo.
It was I was on a golf course. I got a text. Villanova's down in the 4th. I pull it up in the cart watching it. I think I missed a couple shots. It took off a couple holes just as I was locked in. But man, they needed that win. If they
did
lost.
When I saw the spread of that game, I laughed out loud.
Oh, I told you that. I told you that last week.
Nova was at -3.5, and I was like, taking Marquette on this spread.
Yeah, absolutely.
1,000,000%.
Couple last games to round out our recap. We talked to Joey Spallina last week, and we talked about how they were controlling their own destiny. They put themselves in a good position. Unfortunately, they came out on the short end of the stick against UVA, 19-12. I just think this UVA team they've been, and they still are, and they just keep getting in new studs to replace old studs. Like, they lose a guy like Dox Aiken. They have that kid Schutz come in, who's equally as physical of a midi as Dox was. Scotty, you catch this game. What do you think about UVA and, taking on Notre Dame in the ACC?
I think UVA's got the best offense. I think Notre Dame's the best team. And that's going to be the matchup, right? Because is Notre Dame going to be able to hold them, or are they going to let them score? Because, like, honestly, UVA could pump that ball, bro. They pump 18, 19 goals a game. That's like what they do, So actually, there's no ACC tournament this year. I think I remember reading. So
no, there's not enough teams. There's not enough teams for there to be.
But didn't they used to take the top 4 and like the 5th would play like an Ivy League team? But I don't know.
What? I think they did do that one year.
Regardless, UVA finishes. They play Lafayette as we
to the playing each other twice format.
Yeah. And I think they're going back to the ACC tournament next year. But, to close out on Virginia, they finished with Notre Dame, and that's a big game for both teams. Basically, it will flip-flop them in seeding for the NCAA tournament. Both will be seeded, but being that 1 seed or being that 2 seed or 3 seed is definitely, you get an advantage.
Dude,
who you're going to draw.
That is in the sport right now, getting the overall number 1 seed makes a difference. You want whoever the worst automatic qualifying team is to rather than a Georgetown or whatever. So also like we were talking about with the Big Ten. I mean, Big Ten is a microcosm of this. Like I just said, I was just laughing about Rutgers, but there's a real good chance Rutgers is going to win 2 games in those Big Ten. No one knows who's going to win the Big Ten this year in that tournament. So if Rutgers screws everybody's bracket up, then that's the other thing we have to think about. That's why this RPI shit's so important, because if Michigan wins the Big Ten tournament, which they could,
everything gets turned on its head.
4 Big Ten teams are going to the tournament now. You're all screwed. Right. So, it's going to get crazy.
And I know we hate talking about the Ivy League, but they're kind of playing themselves into a situation where they could have a couple teams in as well. Yeah. Scotty, I can see the smoke coming out of his ear talking about the Ivy League.
I just think that conference, they beat the shit out of each other.
Princeton and Cornell are going. They're going.
Princeton and Cornell, you think?
Princeton's not even in the conversation right now. It's Cornell, Yale, and Penn.
They're in my conversation.
Right
now. Watch them. Right. Watch what happens in the Ivy League tournament.
Book it. Book it. I love it. Well, Yale's in a situation too where if they don't beat Harvard this weekend, they're watching the Ivy League tournament from their couch.
In the Ivy League tournament.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy, and that's what's great about this sport. And that's what's crazy. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's what gets me excited to watch these conference tournament play out.
Scotty, you see Symes he's at a wedding, and he's sitting on his phone checking scores.
He's watching a Nova game.
On that stupid ass Flow Live. Have you guys ever watched a game on Flow Live?
No.
It is the worst subscription service out there. It's the Big East and the CAA.
What's it called?
Flow Live. FLOLIVE.
Was that like Pornhub?
It might RedTube or something.
Holy shit.
But it's horrible. It's the most janky. The Villanova St. John's game a couple weeks ago, they only played the first 8 minutes of the game and then it cut out. You couldn't watch the rest of the game.
All right, let's go on. I don't want to talk about you pirating lacrosse.
We can touch upon the Army-Navy score. Army took care of business. They're winning the games they need to win. It's basically Pat League or bust. They're not going to get an at-large bid. They took care of Navy, but we talked about last week the history of this game. It's pretty cool to see the ceremony, how much these kids care about it. And that's, what's something that's really cool about this sport as well. And Army-Navy rivalry for all sports.
Yeah,
tradition.
It's just a beautiful thing. I mean, I just love it. I love the pageantry about it. Every time football or lacrosse plays, I just love it.
And listen, both head coaches are perfect for that.
Both head coaches, Alberici and Amplo, are absolute 100 out of 100 human beings. Yep. It's phenomenal.
Yep.
Well, fellas, we just chopped it up real quick about what happened last week in lacrosse. We're excited. Like we said, I'm excited. I won't speak for these two, but I mean, we got some great lacrosse in front of us, and man, this season's gone quick. I feel like yesterday we were, previewing, gassing up Notre Dame and how this was their year, and they're making us look right now, but we'll see how it goes. We got some big games ahead. We talked about Notre Dame's big game against UVA. Notre Dame's favorited in this one. They beat them by 5 last time. Scotty, what's the key for Notre Dame? It's hard to beat a team twice. What's the key for Notre Dame?
Weekend, right?
Excuse me?
Are they home this weekend?
UVA.
Well, excuse me, I misspoke. Virginia beat Notre Dame by 5 last time, so it's hard to beat a team twice. What does Notre Dame have to do to turn this around and catch UVA?
Yeah, I think the first game that UVA just every punch Notre Dame threw or every momentum swing, UVA countered, man, and it was the backdoor cuts. Who's that guy? What's the
Dixon
off-ball guy?
Dixon.
Dude, that kid, they had no answer for his backdoor goals. So I think maybe a little off-ball work. I think maybe a little off-ball focus here. Because if Edmund's seeing the ball from shooters up top, they'll be in good shape. So,
I think they're playing at Klockner.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Because wasn't that the game where the football players came out?
Yeah,
and like,
the first,
Yep.
they're playing
It's at UVA.
Yeah.
At UVA.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting.
So
It'll be
maybe this,
interesting.
if it's at UVA, maybe this spread. I don't know. We got Notre Dame -1.5. I can't fact check you right now, but I'd be surprised if they're favorited. We'll see. But we have Princeton Cornell.
That game is going to be awesome.
Yeah, that'll be a good game.
Cornell's -2. And, Greg is very bullish on Princeton. They win this game, they're right back into the conversation for sure.
I believe in Matt Madelon. I will defend him at all costs.
Now, your boy, the faceoff guy, he got hurt, right?
So Tyler Sandoval did get hurt. They've been using Kobe Ginder and the freshman McMeekin, who is a monster human being. So if you see him versus the other freshman from Garden City, Cascadin facing off, you might be able to see it from space because it's literally two 6'3" monsters beating each other up. So it'll be pretty fun. But yeah, Tyler Sandoval just had successful knee surgery the other day. He's one of my favorite people on earth. So fast healing for him.
Yes, sir.
Duke, they round off their final regular season game with Syracuse. Cuse. They're treading water. They're sucking some water in for sure. They're close to drowning. This win could, revitalize their season, give them some hope, but you don't see a chance, Scotty. You're shaking your head.
No, I love Duke this time of year. I think this is they go into the playoffs feeling good.
I don't think Syracuse is going to win a face-off in this game.
Yeah.
And if that happens, Brendan O'Neill's going to have 75 points.
I don't know what's going on with my Instagram algorithm, but I get fed Duke clips 24/7 on Instagram. And first off, they're sick. Second off,
you watch them every time they pop up. That's why the algorithm.
You might be a Brendan O'Neill fanboy.
He goes, why is this showing up? And then he just sits there and watches it for 5 minutes.
Stop searching Brendan O'Neill.
But they do these clips where they film the kids in practice doing a move, and then they'll pan to them doing the same move in a game and then burying one. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. But I mean, watching them play is so much fun. Watching Brendan O'Neill play, McAdory coming into his own this year. That kid Ledman, he's awesome. Even their poles, they're so quick. Their LSMs are so quick up and off the ground, starting that transition. They're a fun team to watch, and I wouldn't want to play this team at this time of the year. I wouldn't want to see them in the tournament. I'm going Duke too. I mean, I think Duke kind of flexes their muscles and puts a statement that they want the 1 seed going into this NCAA tournament.
Are they in the Dome or are they at Duke?
Give me 2 seconds. It is at Duke.
What's the spread again?
4, I think. I got 4.
Take the over.
And the over?
I just think Duke's going to pump them.
I think
I don't think Duke's going to pump them, but 4 it's going to be close. It's going to be reasonable. Depends if Naso goes absolutely Naso.
Yeah.
When he's just on the whistle, man, and just flipping it behind his right shoulder, and Syracuse's wing setup doesn't really seem like they have a clue as far as how to stop that. It's going to be feeding the machine, man. And that Duke offense is just so good, dude.
Yeah, it is.
Woo! Go get some fireworks down there in Durham, baby.
Big game in the Big East to finish the regular season is Villanova at Georgetown. What are you shaking your head at, Scotty?
How did we get to Villanova? Georgetown beats the shit out of them. Let's go.
What do you mean? Time out. Scotty, I don't want to have to rewind the tape, but I think a few episodes ago you were shit-talking Georgetown for starting 0-3 and saying they suck and they shouldn't be ranked.
That was probably 10 episodes ago. And then they figured it out. Now we're good.
You're not wrong, but I mean, this is a massive game because, Villanova's sitting at RPI 12, Georgetown's sitting at RPI 9. I don't think Georgetown, Denver, and Villanova are getting into the tournament. I think they'd be lucky to get 2 of those 3.
I'll bet you $100 on the side here, me and you, that Georgetown wins by at least 4.
At least how many?
At least 4 goals.
At least 4 goals. I'll take that bet from you.
Cool. Done.
I'll take that bet because 4. If you're going to say straight up, but if you're going to give me 4, Villanova, this will be a close game. I mean, so many times Villanova's been in this situation where it's, win the last game, win the first game of the Big East semis.
Do you want my Venmo?
Yeah. You can say the Venmo out loud so we can get everyone Venmoing you.
No, I'm good. I don't want like shit talk.
No, it's gonna be called Venmoing with Scotty. We're just gonna we're gonna go 180 and people are just gonna be sending you money.
I'll take that bet though. I mean, I believe in my guys. I think the coaches this year at Villanova have done a fantastic job. Last year they had 4 or 5 fifth-year transfers that really kind of carried the ship, and they were phenomenal players. But this year they had 4 or 5 fifth years that stayed. The goalie, Matt Campbell, who is going to be a first-round pick in the PLL.
Their face-off man is dynamic.
My battery's running low. Can we finish this little?
Come on. We were booching Notre Dame all episode. I can't give Villanova some love.
They're number 1 in the country. It's not a booch.
You heard it here first. Scotty he watches the games and he pays attention to the rankings.
All right, fair. I'll wrap it up with Villanova. Good luck to the Wildcats. They're doing great this year. The fifth years are showing up. The coaches are doing a fantastic job. They're 10-3 going into the last games.
All 3 of us have teams in the tournament. That'd be great.
Me too. Great for the show. And I hope Notre Dame plays Villanova first round. And then I want that matchup. I want to travel to South. I want to travel to South Bend. Scotty, me and you, we can fly to South Bend, and I'll wear my pads, and we can.
You wear your tux.
Yeah, I'll wear my tux. I'll wear
your tux with a rowback over top of it.
Yeah.
But that's all the games I have on the sheet. Any games coming up? You want to touch upon the Big Ten tournament real quick, Greg? Coming up?
Yeah, I mean, look, we talked about it before. It's going to be a slobber knocker. You got. I mean, it's really hard to bet on this game. I mean, like it's who's going to win this thing. What was it, a fluke that Hopkins beat Maryland? I don't think so. I think Maryland it's like when you watch Rocky IV when he cuts Drago. Everyone's like, holy shit, they're human. And I think now, we're getting that now where it's like, Maryland's still awesome. Someone has said the other day, like, oh, they're having a down year. I'm like, no, they're not. They're just not having last year.
Right.
You can't compare this year's Bulls who are good to the 92 Bulls. It's not going to win. So, yeah, I think anybody can beat anybody. So we'll see. I'm just hoping Penn State, makes it to the championship game. That'd be beautiful, and I'd love to watch it. So,
where is the Big Ten tournament this year?
No idea.
No
idea at all.
Well, the Big East is lucky enough that Marquette gets to host the Big East tournament. So I heard Milwaukee's great this time.
Beautiful this time of year.
Milwaukee's so nice.
Are you being serious?
In the summer, it's actually nice.
I've never been. I've only been when it's April, gray, and raining sideways.
That's usually the norm.
Yeah. Well, fellas, I got nothing left on the sheet. Another fantastic episode in the books. You guys got anything for me before we sign off?
No, I just can't wait for that $100.
All right.
Big Ten tournament is played at Hopkins this year. So
good place to play.
All right. Well, we got our favorite.
I'm sure we'll hear something about
guys. That was a great show, man. Love talking to you guys. Excited to see what happens this coming weekend so we can chop it up next week.
Absolutely. Make sure you tune in next week. We'll give a recap of the games that happened this week and our preview for the games next week. We have a very special guest, Ryder Garnsey, coming on, keeping the Notre Dame and the Redwoods theme intact. We can booch Notre Dame some more with Scott. And make sure, if you're listening on Apple, subscribe and download. Same with Spotify. And if you're watching us on the TorchPro YouTube channel, be sure to subscribe there. Fellas, episode 26 is in the books. Can't wait to see you guys next week.
All right. Peace to the moon.
A very special welcome to the podcast, Garrett Epple. This is my first time meeting this man, but great to have you on. I'm going to turn this over to Greg, former teammate of his, to give him a proper introduction.
Yeah, Garrett Epple 316. Okay. Led the PLL in caused turnovers by about 300 the last 2 seasons. I had an absolute joy of playing with Ep. He was a Notre Dame guy, but when I met him with the Redwoods, it was one of the most fun summers of my life. Ep, really pumped to have you on here, man.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Obviously it's a pleasure, and I definitely echo the same sentiment. That was a fun year, but it was a pleasure getting to know you two beasts. We got we had some good rapport as teammates out there on the field. So I something I'll always remember. But that was awesome.
I'm sure off the field.
And yes, even more importantly,
yes, we had good harmony off the field for sure. That was my first experience with Notre Dame guys, like playing with them.
Yeah.
And we had a bunch of them too.
It was very cool. I remember we were all sitting around in training camp that first year. We were looking over at Scotty and the Atlas, and they were just listening to music, dancing, because they thought they were just going to go undefeated and kill everybody. And we were like looking at every single team, and we're like, oh, okay, Atlas, that's Team USA, we get it. And then, the Archers are, they all party in Utah together. That's cool. And then we looked at like, what was our identity? It's like Notre Dame. And I look at Harry, I'm like, and the old guys. It was like me, Walters, and Harry, and then Notre Dame.
Weren't you not supposed to be on our team at the start? Didn't we get you somehow afterwards?
I have no idea. I know that I was involved with the PLL, helping them set up the face-off rules with Schreiber. And then one day out of nowhere, Schreiber was just like, do you want to play? And I was like, Schreiber, don't say that so loud. My wife's going to hear me.
App, I was thinking about that in the bubble when Coach Corrigan ran that Notre Dame team call. Remember that? You remember Acello, and
Scotty, you got invited to that?
Yeah.
So me and fucking Costabile are on the Atlas.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
it was the most awkward fucking conversation.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious.
We're like the misfits. We're like the misfit toys, and these guys are fucking broing out. They're teammates. I'm like, yeah, it's great, guys. Keep fucking us up.
And Costabile. I do remember that. That is funny.
Ep, tell us about your evolution here, man. Give the people, because we want to give a little taste for people who haven't seen your professional career. Obviously, you were an absolute maniac at Notre Dame, but tell us about your professional arc.
Sure. Yeah. So my senior year, obviously we lost, and I got drafted to the Atlanta Blaze at first in the MLL. And part of the reason why I played for Huntley at Copper Hall, he was the offensive coach, but he was helping out BK for a few years. Actually, that whole time when I was in high school, he was there. So, I had a prior relationship with him, and, he called me up and asked if I wanted to play for him. And obviously I was like, hell yeah, let's go. So, played that whole summer for the Blaze. And I would say it was pretty tough. I mean, it's probably the same thing for you guys coming out of your senior year and then, going playing 3-4 more months of lacrosse.
Dude, I came right from Japan, right from that team.
Yeah.
It was fucking, oh my God.
So, it was fun. It was good kind of first experience. And then, but it wasn't the best kind of season that I've had in terms of enjoyment, just for that reason. And then afterwards, following year, it was actually pretty funny. So, Spencer, our GM, was trying to trade for Glaze to come to the Blaze, and they worked out this deal. And then Coach Cotto called me, and I was living in DC at the time. He was like, hey, we want you on the Bayhawks. I was like, honestly, that'd be great. It's a 45-minute drive. Yeah. I would love to play for you guys. So Glaze went to the Blaze, and then I went to the Bayhawks. So we missed each other, which is pretty funny. And then that was an awesome year. One of my favorite kind of pro lacrosse years. We had a great team. It was a lot of fun.
I mean, the Bayhawks do it right.
Yeah, they were
one team.
Yeah, it was great, and I had a good relationship with Brian Kelly too, and he cared, and it was awesome. I was talking to Heacock. Heacock was on a team. He's in San Diego right now. We're talking about it the other day. How much fun that was, and then afterwards, obviously, rumblings about the PLL, and I'll say so. In terms of playing, that's kind of when I found some confidence, I guess, in the pro game. Whereas at first I was still trying to figure it out. And, God's honest truth, the first year I wasn't really going around throwing any body checks on anybody. And then when I was playing for the Bayhawks, Brian Kelly would come up to me before the game, be like, I would literally want you to kill somebody today. And then that's when I started kind of like doing that a little bit in the pros, and he would like fire me up. Yeah,
Dude,
nuts.
the MLL was so fucking unique in the sense of like your team, like that was like a team that ate like steaks before games, and then I'm playing on the Ohio Machine. We're eating fucking Jimmy John's.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy John's is pretty good shit.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, I
That's
remember.
correct.
I remember. I don't want to just a segue on that story just for a second. I remember before the PLL started, the plans BK had for like a Bayhawks stadium.
Oh yeah,
like a downtown, like it looked like an MLS type of setup.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
dude, that's it's pretty unique. You say Huntley, right? Because my first coach in the pros was Huntley too for the Nationals, and I didn't really know him. I didn't really know at all, but I remember he picked me up from the airport. I just came from Japan. We lost the Natty Championships. I was all banged up. He's like, hey, you're gonna fucking start this week, yeah? I was like, yeah, sure. Fuck it, right? So he's like, yeah, I'm gonna sit Queener. You're gonna tell him. I was like, I'm not gonna tell that psychopath. So he was
That's
like,
awesome.
telling me this, and but like Hunts was like honestly one of probably the fucking realest players, coaches I've ever had. Like as far as the way he treated us, it was like if you sucked, if you were an asshole, he'd be like, you're a fucking asshole. And he'd be like,
Totally.
all right, right? Like that was like he treated you like a
100%.
man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I've learned to like appreciate that as a player, and he certainly epitomizes that. But yeah, he's straightforward with you. So you know,
so what you guys? That was what summer was that? 2018 when you heard the rumblings.
2018, yeah. So that was like in August, towards the end of the year. I think I was like done playing. Then ultimately, so first call I got was from Kyle, and had a good conversation with him. And you know, basically from the jump, I was like, yeah, totally. But you know, I'm coming over, looking forward to it. Let's go. So you know, there was like some drama with some of the guys who were on the Bayhawks with the organization, you know, were they staying or not? And I remember, you know, Kyle called me and I basically was just like, yeah, I'm going. And that was the end of the conversation.
I mean, the only drama was like, I think what Heacock get, like 40 grand?
Well, yeah. And like, yeah, he got paid and like, you know, they were
Lyle stayed, you know, right?
Yeah, Lyle stayed and they were in the, you know, in their year, and I totally get it. It was honestly, it was a very stressful like period of time, and there was like a lot of uncertainty in the air. These guys are saying this, these guys are saying this. I was just like, whatever. But you know, Heacock had a prior relationship with BK, and they were doing like, you know, so. There's a lot of things that go into it, but
there was a lot.
You know, at the end of the day,
well, here's the thing. I think that for all of us, the kicker was, I want to play against the best guys, right? So
150 guy exodus. It's like,
it wasn't. It was never.
Yeah.
It was, but it was never about money, right? So you're like, I want to play against the top talent, and if you're taking on the top talent, who am I playing against?
So
exactly.
What did they throw at you when you said, yeah, I'm going? What did they counter with?
What they had said to me was like, hey, you know, you're under this contract. You are like engaged, you know, some
contract
bullshit. Like, you know, you're talking to another group. You're under contract with us. We're gonna. And then they sent that like letter around, right? Which is, you know, I was just like, what are you gonna sue 135 guys? I remember being on a conference call with everyone, and Jesse Bernhardt was playing for the Bayhawks deal. And he straight up asked, I think it was BK or Gottle, like, hey, are you guys prepared for the scenario of 130 guys like leaving this, you know, league? And there's just like silence, right? So, you know, ultimately, you know, with me, it was just like they didn't really try too hard because I think they just knew.
Yeah.
But that was different.
They were suing us for 12 grand.
Dude,
yeah, I mean, it's like
the money,
you know,
that was being thrown around. I remember the 2 days before we announced that I was coming back out of retirement, the Lizards called me and they were like, I can't believe you're doing this. Like, and I was like, look, guys, this isn't personal at all. Like, this is just, you know, this is just a new league that's going to take over. And I hope you guys work it out because I'd love for the MLL to have a history.
Well, the Lizards had mafia money.
Dude. So they offered me, they said, $100 grand to come back and play 1 year.
That's what
And I go,
unreal.
hey guys,
Yeah.
when I won league MVP, you paid me $12,000. So
Yeah, where's this
now
money
you
come
want to
from?
give my old broke ass $100,000? Hard no.
Oh, that's what they did with Dylan
Malloy.
Boy,
Malloy. Yeah.
dude, they were given. That's how
Which
they got.
actually, I
I
don't.
think Woodall. That's how they got a couple of the high picks that year to come over. Dude, they're
Yeah.
just lighting money on fire.
Malloy is supposed to play for the Redwoods, by the way. It's a fun
Wow.
fact. He was on our roster.
Well,
He'd
He's
be a
going to
good
come play
piece.
for the Redwoods this year.
No, year one.
Oh, year one, he wanted to. Oh, that's right.
He was put on our team.
Yes, that's right. I remember
Because
that.
he was one of the only ones that announced, did the emoji head, right? And
He
then
was in a commercial.
Yeah.
and then he backtracked.
Well, I think it was it was a financial thing. Like he wanted.
Well, listen, I totally get it. Like if they offered him 80 G's, he was working in New York. Like is what it is. But ultimately, I definitely agree with Scotty. It's like I just want to play where it's most competitive.
Yes.
And that's why I was let's go, let's play. And then it was all go ahead.
I got a question for Epple about just a random question because I met Arden Cohen for the first time. I mean, that guy's a unique cat.
That's a good way to put it. He's a great guy. I love him.
No, he's a fucking phenomenal.
He's unique. Yes, he's very unique.
Give me something unique about him.
Beast, you would love him.
He's actually genuinely like, hey, how are you? I'm like,
Yeah.
Hey.
So he's nice. So you call him unique.
Yeah, because Apple's a scumbag.
No, I get it.
He's
Scotty,
awesome.
there are people that will ask you they'll ask you how you're doing, and they actually want to know. And when genuine people do that, it freaks you out sometimes because you're used to it being a communication.
You know why I love Epple? Because Apple's not like that.
So Garrett, so I think Beast alluded to this, and you touched upon it too about, your second year in the MLL, you started kind of laying the boom. But what Greg mentioned in the intro is, you're a turnover machine, with your stick skills as well. Talk about the development as a defenseman where you are able to be that presence out there, physically, but also having the fundamentals to kind of, sit in the chair and kind of dissect someone with your stick.
Yeah, sure. So I would say, coming out of a lot of it had to do with how I was like coached in college. I definitely, like everyone else, have strengths and weaknesses as like a player. But one of my like strengths was that I always just like listened to whatever my coaches had to say. Whatever they told me to do, I was going to do it. And at Notre Dame, especially, whether it was like being ultra fundamental with GB and Coach Corrigan, I just adopted like their style to the best that I could. So like my play, I wasn't really like turning the ball over a lot in college or putting the ball on the ground a lot. I was still pretty good, but once I got to the pros, my like knowledge in terms of my lacrosse IQ, which I had built up, but again, I'd say that's probably one of my strengths is to I've watched a lot of film on myself. I understand the game, what offenses they're trying to do, and then use that on the field. Because if you look at, some of the turnovers that I have, it's not like I'm running out there, stripping somebody when they're going to the goal, right? It's, lead poke, right? And then you drag the stick, ball's on the ground, or it's a good time slide, or, the ball's moving around. This guy's open over here. I'm sliding. I know that he's going to try to throw the ball over there. So I would say it's more of anticipation, and that's through experience.
Yeah.
But
So boys, kind of playing in that system, it's tough for App because I think Landis. We usually give one guy the keys to be a takeaway guy. So it's like Landis had those keys, right?
Yeah.
Early on. So you were asked to play solid defense and not probably go do what he was doing. I'm assuming.
So I'd say, yeah, whoever like the top like guy that was going to the goal, whoever that was, Landis was on. Which I mean, that's his strength as well. He's better at covering guys than I am, which is why me, Landis and Eddie played pretty well together as a unit. And I was actually I was fine playing in my role. I think as a two guy, it really allows me to play to the best of my ability. Because I mean, it's true, right? When you're a coach and you're talking to defensemen in high school who just want to guard the ball, once you get to college level and then the pro level, 99% of the time, my guy's not even going to take me to the net. Even if I'm covering the best player, there's like two or three guys that attack me that can consistently run by somebody. So, I've learned to like enjoy that part of the game when guys aren't taking me to the net. And that's where I kind of have fun playing. And then that's also where you start to create disruption, right?
I think nobody really understands the value of like Eddie, right? Like Eddie, like he's a fucking communicator. He keeps everything moving. Everybody knows their role. Like that quarterback role lets guys play freely. You know what I mean?
I say it all the time on this show. Like that first year with the Redwoods, watching the Notre Dame defense work together was like, I was blown away. And I had been playing lacrosse for like 14 years at that point professionally. And that was the first time I saw where like everybody knew exactly where they were supposed to be at all times. And I was like, this is beautiful to watch.
Fucking Eddie gets no love, like, because nobody really recognizes what he does, but he's fucking pivotal in like, you know what I mean?
Well, I think also is when they do give him credit for being a communicator, they call him that, and they forget that he's also a freaking defenseman. Like he's
also 6'6",
sick defender.
6'6" athletic.
Like, oh yeah, Eddie, we need him back there talking to everybody. No.
Yeah. So he is there. I guarantee you. I mean, if you go back in time at what he does, he's probably the best to ever play that style.
100%, the best I've ever seen do it.
Mm-hmm. And I can't even, off the top of my head, like compare somebody. And his lacrosse IQ is off the charts. And I will say, so if you ever watch him play, there's like a clip where it looks like he's, screwing up in some way or is late. It's usually because he's fucking telling everybody what to do on the field. They're all not doing their jobs. And then, my guys
not listening and it screws everything.
Yeah. I feel like Lee Zink. Remember Lee Zink?
Me?
Eddie Glazer reminds me of him, like his
really?
IQ.
Yeah,
because Lee Zink knew every.
Lee Zink was one of the most intelligent. I mean, he was one of the greatest defenders of all time. But he was
not flashy, very boring.
Dude, just the worst person to go against.
Yeah.
So it's interesting you brought up Landis because, like, I remember you having takeaways our first year, 2019, but I don't remember you having this kind of volume on caused turnovers. Do you think Landis leaving made you more of that?
Well, if let's say I'm playing with Landis, I'd have even more caused turnovers.
Really?
Because totally. So. Because if I'm playing, give me a team,
Archers.
And perfect. And I'm covering a Met, right? He's actually will carry the ball, right? And like I said, when I'm covering somebody, I'm not trying to throw checks because I'm not that fast compared to like a guy like Rowlett who can just like run with people. And he's super talented like that. I'm not. So I just keep my stick on the guy the whole time pretty much. When I'm doing that, that's not where I create kind of cause turnovers. It's like within a slide and recovery, I'm covering two people, right? It's with, dodge, clear through. The guy throws it to the pop guy, and I'm anticipating that, and I'm getting to, the guy catching the ball. And that's what, yeah, exactly. And I think what, Coach Byrne and Coach Corrigan, their style, the lead poke is the best thing to teach, defensemen, number one.
We can't give we're not going to give Corrigan that credit though.
No, he's been doing it for a while. Yeah.
He might watch the show, Scotty. Just give him.
Yeah.
Well, Garrett, I think you bring up such great points, especially for any young defenseman listening. But it all kind of comes back to all of these Notre Dame defensemen playing with such immense lacrosse IQ. Talk to me a little bit about Notre Dame this year. You and Scotty both had so much success in college, and came up a little short sometimes. But is this their year? How you feeling?
I hope so, man. I really do. I want them to, some guys who like graduate college and didn't win, like other schools or maybe even Notre Dame, like are salty and like don't. I want them to win so bad. I think they have a fantastic team.
No, not me at all. Shut up, Dick.
Scotty hates Notre Dame. Should hear.
But it's like, we had, my best run was my sophomore year when we lost in the Final Four. That was the best team that we had. I played in the championship the year before. And you kind of could feel that it was a pretty special group, if you're going to be in it or not. I think that same mentality is with those guys right now. But it's, sports. It's like at the end of the year, everything could come down to one play. So, and you need to make a play, right? I think they have the guys to do it, but I hope they win, and I think they can.
Yeah.
I think this team, in past years we've had great defense or great offense, not both, right? So like it would be you hang your hat on one thing or you hang your hat on the other thing. But right this year, man, they got goaltending, defense, face-offs, which is fucking rare for us.
Yeah, Will Lynch is. I mean, he's got a lot of talent. He can go off at any point.
And then offensively, dynamic. Like they're exciting to watch, right? It's not like a one-trick pony. It's fucking exciting.
And they were plus 600 future bet before the season started.
So fucking psycho.
Well, so I'll tell you this: like my whole, this is what I've been telling some of my buddies, and a couple guys in the Redwoods will get a kick out of this too. But I have a saying, I guess, but I'll ask you guys, what do you think is the biggest lie in sports, right, that people tell you? So like whether it's like a saying or a
winning isn't everything.
Okay, that's a good one. So then Scotty, what do you got?
I think you need talent to win. I hate that old, like, you don't need talent. Talent, like, effort beats talent. Effort does not beat talent. Talent fucking wins.
Yeah, totally.
We use it on social media all the time, but I think hard work pays off because
a lie?
Hard work pays off is something that I think is a lie, because people will work hard doing the wrong shit all the time.
Good point.
I have face-off guys that will not come and train on the important technical details to get better, but they'll go take 4 hours of live reps a day for doing it incorrectly for an entire offseason.
Hey, listen, so Peter Chrisman was like one of our best offensive players when I was there, and he would fucking do nothing all offseason. He wouldn't run. He'd go to Cape Cod party. Yeah. Right. So he'd show up every year, conditioning test. I'd fucking say all summer, fucking train. He would run a 5:30 mile, make all his 300s. I'm like, you didn't do shit. He'd laugh and be like, I'm just gifted.
Okay, well, that's not a good message.
Yeah, but not everyone's like that. But Apple, bring your point home. Let me hear this.
What are you going to drop on us here?
So mine is the biggest lie in sports is that defense wins championships. It does not fucking win championships. Okay.
Ray Lewis, what's the word, my friend?
Well, so my perfect example is, so obviously the Ravens won in 2000. They're very good. That wasn't their best defense. Their best defense that they ever had was 2005. That's when they got Chris McAllister, Peter Boulware, Adalius Thomas was unbelievable. List goes on and on and on. 2005, and they sucked that year because they had Kyle Bowler who couldn't, hit a barn. But it was an unbelievable kind of defense that they had. But if you run through the list of like sports, right? Let's go football. Okay, 2000 Ravens. Maybe that's one team. Okay, the Pistons. The Pistons in the NBA in 89, 90. That's the only example that you can come up with, right? And I think, it's if you're playing a sport where you win by scoring, you need to score to win. I mean, it's like but it's also if you're playing defense to win, you're losing. So that is my kind of big thing.
Yeah, I like that. Defense wins games. Offense wins championships.
Yes.
Not even offense wins games.
Oh, well, so that's it's actually pretty funny. Because obviously the Notre Dame style is different than a lot of other, coaches and teams or whatever. And I remember Coach Burns saying to me one time, that we're playing some team, some college. We had a bunch of like Canadians. He was like, "Oh, I hate that style play. Like all they want to do is just like outscore you." So I'm like, "Coach Clark, you're a fantastic coach, but like." He's like, if they win 19-18, that's all they want to do. It's like, well, that's a win, dog.
Like, wow, I'm gonna recruit some offensive guys that want to do that.
I mean, I played a fucking hockey game.
Yo, I'll tell you what. I think the shot clock forced Notre Dame to have a better offense.
Oh yeah,
and I think
I mean, it forced other teams to actually play. I mean, we play Denver and they hold the ball for 2 minutes at a time. So when we get the ball, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
It's not like Coach Corrigan was like, "Hey, we're going to hold the ball." Like nobody wants to do that.
You know how many fucking timer-ons we got when I played? It was fucking.
Oh, I mean, this is when you get into like the rules committee and everything. I mean, it's such a disgrace, when I look back that was even a thing. Like whoever came up with that idea,
or keep it in the box,
should be fired.
Yeah,
should be absolutely fired.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve, Coach Corrigan, our second line in 2010, he said, "All your job is throw the ball in the circle. Throw the ball in the circle. If you turn it over, you fucked up. If you don't go to the cage, do nothing till the fucking first line comes back in." Right?
Yeah.
So he literally wanted like a possession line.
Yeah, but Scotty,
you bring up a great point because I'm always on my soapbox about the rules committee too, with all kinds of shit. And it's just funny, like I was saying it for a couple of years when we were leading up to, dude, once you play in the ML, right? You go back to alumni weekend, you're like, yo, guys, we need a fucking shot clock in college lacrosse.
Yeah.
And the same dinosaurs that were like, get rid of face-offs and we gotta, we need 6 creases are the same people that didn't want a shot clock. And it's like, could you imagine watching college lacrosse now without a shot clock? No.
It was the rules committee and a coach whose name rhymes with Mirny didn't want a shot clock. Okay. And by the way, just for the listeners out there as well, the fact that like coaches are on these rules committees or like the selection committee, I mean, I don't know how this is organized or structured, but whoever is making these decisions, like number one, it takes forever to change a rule in the NCAA. That's why it's awesome. The PLL, boom. Rules changed.
And women.
Hey, Paul just has a dream.
The women had, it was a few years ago, women's lacrosse had like a slow game in the championship. And then like 48 hours later, they had a shot clock.
Yeah. And that's why don't you think we had a shot clock?
Yeah. Well, I totally agree. See, in 2020, when they decided to change the face-off rule to stand up only, I was getting absolutely shredded from every corner of our sport. And I found out who was actually on the rules committee. And I'm looking at this list. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? There's like a random AD from a D3 school somewhere. There's a guy who's been coaching for 90 years who hates everything. And I was just like, yo, I don't care if you're a great person or not. Okay. Like Lars Tiffany's on the committee. I love Lars Tiffany, but there's a flawed system when you have something to gain. Right? It's no different. 100%. It's no different than Washington, D.C. It's like, you want me to change these rules, but it might screw me the way I recruit. Maybe I think you need a completely independent body. Totally agree.
Fellas, while we have Epple here, we've been talking about it for a couple of weeks. I was talking about how Corrigan and Tierney, those games, when those two are like kicking cones and fucking giving it to the refs, is there anything like that in the like? It is fucking insane.
Well, I'll tell you this. Okay. And I'm not, Coach Corrigan yells at the refs, no doubt. And, man, we'd be like playing in South Bend in like late February outside. There'd be like 200 people in the stands. And then he's just like screaming at the refs. The only thing I'm like, Coach, like, yo, chill out. So he's not innocent by any means, but so you know how we go V-hold, all the Notre Dame guys go V-hold?
Yeah.
The only time I've ever seen a ref call that ever in my college career was against them. Because he's in their ear the whole time, but they listen to him. That is the problem. right?
The
And like
human component.
talk about rules.
Yeah.
Why would you want a shot clock if you have the best face-off guy who's ever played the game, and you can get the ball every single? No, why? There's no incentive to do that. And then boom, shot clock, right? Like, but so he's the hand down. Coach Tierney is the best coach that it's ever coached lacrosse.
Yeah.
I'm taking nothing away from him. And, I don't blame him for yelling at the refs and them listening. It's a refs, dude. Like they need to be objective.
They were terrified of him. Yeah.
But he has influence. And that's, it's not his fault that they're listening to him, but that shit fucking happens.
I'll tell you what,
Piss me off.
I'm convinced we need to make sure that we end up with a Notre Dame versus Denver NCAA tournament game.
Yeah.
This year, before Tierney retires.
Yeah.
Tierney will get every call.
But I will say to you boys, and I've done this as I've gotten older. I coach high school lacrosse even now, but even as a player, I never even yell at refs anymore. I think it's gotten to the point where everyone's just like screaming at the refs whenever there's a call made or some bullshit. It's like it's a big kind of pet peeve of mine, and it's coaches too. Like if the refs make a call, like you don't have to scream and lose your mind, even if you're trying. Like, what are you trying to do that for? It's not going to help you.
No,
especially
I've never seen a ref go, "Oh my God, you're right."
But it's gone overboard
100%.
from the players. Like, and I tell the refs on the field, like if somebody's yelling, throw the flag on this guy and tell him to shut up.
Yes. There's a
but I think
USA Lacrosse is having a serious issue right now with a shortage of referees everywhere. There was multiple Section 1 games canceled this year because they didn't have a ref. There were only 90 Western Connecticut referees at the rules meeting this year, and they were telling me, they're like, dude, parents are just completely out of bounds now. Like, we can't, we don't get paid nearly enough to have just 1,000 parents screaming at us. And by the way, I love lacrosse parents. 1/100th of them know the rules.
Yes, we know. And it's I am fully on the side of the referee, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's probably in other sports as well, and who knows, but what the reason why it's gotten bad.
This is how you get away with these hits.
Well, you know what? There's a disconnect. Our sport is so fast. It's already hard enough to officiate. When we're changing the rules at every level every year, and we have an interpretation situation where the rules are written in gray areas all over our sport, and then all the interpretation, every single ref there's a ref who's in charge of interpreting and then sending it down to all the other refs. We watch, just talking about face-offs, every single ref of every game that we've had at Section 1 that I've coached in so far this year has done it completely different. Yeah. It's just these poor guys.
You're so right. Yeah.
What do you think of a crease dive? Like, are we all unanimous with how
the crease dive? No, that's some bullshit. The crease dive. Absolutely. Okay, this is another thing that PLL now. So, random attackman takes me to the goal, dives in the fucking crease, hits my goalie's knees. What do you want me to do? Well, I should obviously, any other, let's call it the NLL, you're fucking dropping gloves with these guys.
If you hit the goal,
but it happens all the time. And so, what are we supposed to do? Literally dive right into the fucking goalie. That is some bullshit.
I like to ask people this question because I just like to see their reaction. If I had control over that situation, I would say make the crease a yard bigger in diameter and allow the crease dive.
It doesn't.
Don't argue with me because you don't understand shapes.
I get what Epple saying. You're still going to get the people that are going to find the bends in the rules and are just going to nose bomb.
But I'm saying if the crease is a yard bigger, that helps the defense. But also it's a yard further away from the goalie when you dive, so it's harder to make contact with the goalie.
If that ultimately stops people from hitting, diving,
or the goalie can fucking pop the guy.
Goalie should absolutely be able to pop the guy.
Well, but that's the thing. If he's trying to save the ball, it's a player safety issue as well, right? I'm telling you, I've seen over the course of the last 2 years, 5 times these guys are diving into the goalie's knees. So like
And
whatever.
the knees are going backwards. So
Yeah, it's bad. So like in that stamp, and also the crease dive, like, I mean,
it's a highlight goal. It's a highlight goal.
it's a highlight. Yeah, it's a highlight goal, but it's also it's impossible to make that call if I'm diving into the goalie, like, and my feet are off the ground and I'm so close. Like, how can a ref make that call in real time as I'm like hitting the goalie as the ball's going in the net?
I wish
It's
there
impossible.
was like a line on the field that was like, if you were looking upfield from the goalie crease, the top of the crease and down, you're allowed to push in the back.
Push in the back?
Yeah.
that call's
Greg's just trying to add more creases.
No, I'm saying
just trying to add more creases.
The hard thing for any ref is, was it a push in the back or was it a dive?
Well, that.
Yeah.
I will say the refs majority of the time, if I had a call where they don't get it right a lot, it's that call.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They never get that call right.
So instead, it's like charging. They put that arc in basketball. It's like, all right, from this line down, if you're that you can
actually okay. Yes, I like it. I'm open to it.
Tell Paul
that would absolutely be crushing lines.
No, when it was like the Wild Wild West, Brody Merrill, every time someone dove into the crease, score, goal, whatever, he would just fucking start cross-checking them in the back.
Yep.
Oh, totally.
Yep.
He's like hit my goal.
So
yeah,
I know we got off on a little tangent right there, but I thought you brought up a great point about yelling at the refs.
This is damn good entertainment. This isn't a tangent.
And if there's coaches out here listening, I think, right, if you disagree with the ref's call, bring the ref over, talk to him like he's a human being, right? Just, say, hey, this is what I saw. Tell me what you saw here. And you're going to get so much more respect as a coach. And the ref will actually take into consideration your opinion instead of FUing him up and down the sidelines. But I thought that was a great point. If there are any coaches listening, take that to home for sure.
Yeah. And I second that too. And it's like, whether even if you get a call out of it or not, it's like, like you just said, treat the guy like a human being. He's not just some guy standing here that you can just scream at. You know what I mean? Like if that was any of us, we turn around and be like, all right, let's go.
Yeah. Well, I've lost my mind sometimes when there's a horrific call when I was playing.
Oh, me too. And that's what I'm saying. Like, but it's not every call.
The next face-off, I immediately come back and I'm like, look, guys, sorry about that. Every time.
Yeah.
Matty Palin wants to fucking kill you, so it's fine.
You know me?
No, Beast.
No, what you guys don't understand is Matty Palin and I text each other every night. This is all a show for ratings.
He's the most popular guy in the PLL now.
Dude, I love that. I love Matty, and I love giving him shit.
Gets his own jersey.
Yo, so here's funny Matty Palin story real quick. My rookie year in Rochester, or my second year in Rochester, Alex Smith was drafted, and we were both facing off in the game, and Alex Smith got called for a false start, and he yells at Matty as he's running off the field. I've never seen Matty run this fast. He ran a 4-flat 40 to the sideline, got right in Alex Smith's face. He goes, "You're a goddamn rookie. You shut your mouth." And the whole sideline was like, "Sorry, kid. That's just the way it goes."
Yeah. That's what you kind of like low-key have to do, though, because then people don't shut the fuck up. They'll just keep yelling.
Yeah.
So
F, tell us what you think going into camp with the Redwoods this year. I want to talk about that before we get you out of here.
For sure. So obviously we weren't good last year. It was.
What do you think it was last year? Because on paper,
I think our problems started, but it's the same guys pretty much we've had the entire time. But our problems started internally. We weren't organized as a locker room, and I'd just say it wasn't great in general. And I'd say coming into camp for this season, I think we've done a pretty good job in the off season, kind of addressing some of the things that needed to be addressed, and starting off on a better foot. And last year in particular, we came out of the gates, another thing that people say, or if there's any players that are say this to their team that, oh, we just need to get into the playoffs or whatever, right? That's the worst mentality that you can have. And it always pissed me off because it's not, what are we going to just limp into the playoffs and try to, all you got to do is go to the playoffs and then you can make a run. Well, that's really hard to do.
So you hate the chaos mentality.
Well, no, I mean, good for them if they're winning, right? But I'm sure
but
that's
there's
not
a
what
different situation. Their guys are all out of not playing until like 4
Yeah,
weeks left.
yeah. It's like, yeah, they're not going to be limping with their guys, right?
Yeah,
But
right.
so, I think we lost our first 2 games, got blown out, and guys were frustrated and so forth. So it wasn't good. And then, this year, I think having John Gray Jr. is going to be huge.
Yes.
Ryan Lee's going to be back in the lineup for us. He's going to be phenomenal. And we need some depth, kind of the long pull midi, the middies area. But, goalie wise, I think Jack's going to, or Timmy. I mean, we don't even know who the starter's going to be, but, Jack's obviously starting for USA. And I think, if he ends up starting, he's going to be pretty good in that this summer. So, and TD, TD, well, I'll get you, your guys' thoughts on this, but, I think it's extremely tough to take that many faceoffs in the NLL and then come play in the summer too.
Yeah.
So I think we need him to be really good for us, and he's one of my favorite guys on the team. He's awesome, and obviously extremely talented player. But I just don't want him to get burned out. So
and you're right. It does happen. I know Trevor and I just had a conversation about it the other day. It's just like, and Trevor, and TD's going to go through what Trevor does too, which is then you go right into Team USA. You play the World Games. And, I think one of the other things that are really the way that the face-off is officiated in the PLL, Nat and I were talking about it last year. I was like, yo, this kid is not big, man. Like they're getting too many illegal shots in on him. He's not going to last.
Beast, I got a question for you though. The officiating for the face-offs in the PLL, it's not like, I'm not going to say it's horrible, but
I will.
They don't call any, and that actually needs to be addressed because they don't call it anything both ways. But like the bigger guy who's like doing that all the time, like it's an advantage, but it's honestly like a mosh pit, and that is a issue that I think.
Remember 2019, that first year, you had Trevor was like 57% or something, and every team was within like 10%. And they were calling it way different than they call it now. Same officials.
Yeah.
And then when we went in the bubble, it seemed like Maddie just was just like, screw it. And
whatever, yeah.
And I remember Jerry Raganese called me after they had the meeting last year to go over rules before the season started and all the face-off guys. And Maddie goes, we're not going to say set this year. I'm going to say looks good. You guys are going on the second O of good. And Jerry had like an actual aneurysm. But you watch, and it's like you guys are having a absolute heart attack when they get called for going early because they're like, we're all going early on every rep.
Yeah.
And then after you clamp, the guy gets absolutely killed. They're just letting guys get murdered in there.
Oh yeah, and that's how TD got hurt, by the way.
Yeah.
And that's I could go on and on and on again. But if you pop it forward, the other thing that guys do is like fucking put their head in their knees, right? Like you can't do that.
Yep.
Right. And then, so if it's a loose ball, it's just like madness. So I think that, hopefully they call it different, but TD's fantastic. And I think, offensively, we just got to, we need to do a better job of, being more organized and, getting open looks and good, shots on goal naturally through the course of an offense rather than throw the ball to one of our best players, him go to the goal, try to score. And that goes for anyone, any team, right? And, the teams that Duke, when we used to play Duke, right? And it's Cuse, right? Their offense was structured so well that naturally through the course of the game, there are 2 or 3 wide open looks on the doorstep, right? And that's really, really hard to play against.
Yeah.
Because most guys can cover 6-on-6.
Well, Ep, you're a high school coach too, right? Like as I coach my guys here at Merrimack, I go, guys, doesn't matter if you're 5th grade or if you're in the PLL. This game is really simple. It's just you move the ball as fast as you can. And if you do that, the shots are obvious. Like if any of you guys are throwing out a highlight, diving through 2 people goal, great for you on Instagram, but it means our offense is not working.
Yeah, totally. Totally. And lacrosse, and that's the cool thing about lacrosse, how you can play. I mean, they're when I look back when we were playing Cuse, when they had Randy Stotts and Kevin Rice and Maltz was on their team. It was the best offense I've ever played against in my life. And when you watch it on film, we called it spaghetti because it wasn't scripted at all. And they played off of each other, and it's all dive cuts to the crease. Their stick work was phenomenal. And being able to like play that style, then go to like UNC where it is more scripted, but those guys are super talented and they're getting to spots that they need to be in, and they're beating their guy every single time, right? Those are really two different ways to play offensively that work extremely well, and that's one cool thing about our sport. But then on the flip side, if everybody's watching, Joe Schmo with the ball, watching him dodge, that could be pretty bad.
Yes. Yes. Well, I think you guys, it seemed like there was something that we didn't know about last year that wasn't there, and it sounded like from you, it just seemed like just from a internal locker room type of thing, everybody needs to know their place and what their role is and respect it. And if you guys have that going for you, man, then this is going to be another dangerous year for the Redwoods. I'm excited to watch it.
Me too, and I appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, so it kind of started. We have had, 90% of the guys have been on the team, this whole time. So, at least for me, looking forward to this year, there's no doubt in my mind that we have the capability of becoming a championship team. And as I've grown older, you can start to see what that looks like, and it always starts, at the bottom, right? It starts at camp. It starts with relationships between guys. And I think when I look back to that first year piece, when we, went to the championship, the whole team individually, we got along really well. And like, I felt like the guys, cared about each other, and we were actually 5-5 that year.
Yeah.
But it was completely different kind of mentality than what we had, unfortunately, last year. So trying to get back to that same type of energy. Yeah. And I think we're on a good path here, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think the key to professional lacrosse being a successful team in the locker room is accountability. Culture. Not just holding yourself accountable, but accepting structural criticism from a guy who cares about you and wants you to do better out there for the team when you're not doing your job. And if everyone is in the locker room isn't mature enough to hear that or do that, it can't be successful. It drives the entire team down.
The Atlas.
Well, hey, Epple, I feel like, we draw comparisons between the Redwoods and Notre Dame. It happens so much, but I feel like, you guys are both due, the Redwoods and Notre Dame. We're all rooting for both teams this year, but man, it's been great to have you on. I feel like we could get you on another episode, just chop it up about the rule book, go down from rules 1 to whatever, we'd have a blast.
Talking shit.
Exactly. Airing out our dirty laundry. But man, it's such a pleasure to have you on. Fellas, you got any last questions for Epple before we let him go?
No, we kept you here for an hour, man. I really appreciate you coming on, dude. Can't wait to watch you this summer, brother.
I appreciate it, boys. I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for having me, and thanks for letting me air my thoughts at least.
Love it.
I'm all the way here in San Diego. I can't talk to anybody, so I appreciate the time very much.
Will do, man. Thank you again. Really appreciate it.
Take care, boys.